right. Hello and welcome, guys, to another Digital Jamaica live show. I'm your host, Katia Francis. It's good to see you all here this morning. Happy New Year. It is January 7th, 2023, and we should all be excited that we made it to another year, right? Hope you guys had an amazing holiday. Um, Kind of dreading that I'm back out into the world of work as of January 3rd. But we're still grateful that we have income, right? And that we're here for another year. But have you guys put your strategy together for 2023? What are some of the things that you guys are going to be doing this year to make sure that your brand is growing, that your business is growing, that you're getting sales, that you're getting customers, that you're reaching people? Have you put your strategy together yet? And I'm sure for a lot of you, the answer is no. And so that's what we're going to be doing here this morning. I have some special guests with me, the experts who are going to come on, and we're going to have an impromptu digital, well, marketing planning session this morning, and we're going to help you kickstart that strategy planning that you should have done last year September. Yes, last year September, in the fourth quarter, you should have already been putting your plan together. But we're here now and we're going to get it sorted for you. But before we get into that, I want to say a special thank you to the sponsor of the Digital Jamaica Live Show, G5 Cybersecurity. G5 Cybersecurity has been a mainstay in the Digital Jamaica community. They have sponsored a lot of our programs and events and stuff, which makes it all possible to happen, because you guys know creating content and doing all this thing is hard, right? And so we are grateful for G5 Cybersecurity, protecting businesses and families. Visit them at g5cybersecurity.com to see if you are compliant with the data privacy laws, and that your digital assets are secure, right? You're never too small to be hacked. So check out G5 Cybersecurity, and again, thanking them so much for sponsoring the show. But we're not gonna do a long introduction today. We're just gonna bring in our experts. So first up, we have Racheal Callaghan. Hi, Racheal. Good morning.
Good morning, Katia.
Good
Happy
morning,
New Year
and
to you too.
thank you, and Happy New Year to you too. Welcome to the Digital Jamaica live show. Racheal is a digital marketing consultant, and she's also the CEO of Start Social. Racheal, what is Start Social?
Well, Start Social, we're all about results. We say that we start and end with strategy. We are here to support whether you're a small business or straight to corporate with digital marketing solutions. You have a problem, you have a business goal you want to meet, you come to us, we build out a strategy, and we use digital tools to make that happen.
Perfect. So you see that she's the perfect person to talk to here about strategy, because that's what she does.
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
next up, we have the superstar, digital marketing superstar, because no matter which Caribbean island you are on, you know this face. You know this face. This is the guy who is on Twitter calling out all the brands and businesses that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, right, and putting them on full blast. And we absolutely love to see, because about damn time somebody say what he's saying. Welcome, Karen Rose, again to the Digital Jamaica show. You've been here several times, and we're always happy to have you. So Karen is a digital what do you say, digital marketing specialist or digital specialist, because it expands beyond marketing.
Yeah. First, I'll say thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be on Digital Jamaica. And you're absolutely right. It is always expanding. I classify myself now as a digital strategist, because we're talking all things digital and incorporating. So social media is just one aspect. Email marketing is just one aspect. So we kind of cover the entire breadth of digital strategy at this point. So yeah, digital strategy.
Sure. And Keron is also the host of the Digipreneur podcast. Talk about that. That's one of the top ranking podcasts that we have. In what category you're always ranking in a category? What's that category?
Yeah. So the three categories we rank for is the business category, the entrepreneurship category, And when things are really cooking, we then are classified in the all podcast category.
Right.
So it kind of just combines all of the genres together and just see what is actually the top ranking podcast in that country. And we tend to rank in Trinidad, Jamaica, Dominica, and Barbados within the top 20 consistently. So I'm really, really happy about that.
For sure. So, in other words, in case he didn't pick up what he was putting down, he has one of the best podcasts in the Caribbean at the moment. That's what he's saying. That's what the analytics say. That's what the analytics is telling us. Analytics is telling us. All right, guys. So we're gonna just jump straight into it, and we're gonna start with because I know the sexy part that everybody wants to see is watch out the trends. What should I be doing? But before we get to that, have you looked at your analytics from last year to see what worked, what didn't work, and what you should tweak? Because if you've not done yet, that's kind of where to start, right, guys? When you're talking about putting your strategy together. So the first thing we're going to tackle is your strategy development plan. What are the things that you should be including in your strategy? But not just that, what dictates what you put in your strategy? And for me, it's your data. What do you say, Racheal?
I agree with you. I love the fact that you actually started off by looking back. That is always where I encourage people to start. You really want to take the time, especially if you've actually started and invested any time at all. Look back at what's been happening. A lot of people are a little bit afraid of looking back if you feel like you haven't put in the effort, if you feel like things haven't been working out for you. But my starting point is always the end. What happened last year? What, as you said, what went well? What could we have improved on? And you know what were the little surprises that came along the way? So set up your foundation with how things have ended last year.
Keron?
Yeah, so building upon that, I think one of the key elements that we don't really see too many small businesses, right up to corporate, doing is the market research. We have so many tools at our disposal now that are cost effective and some even free that allow us to now mine the data that all of these search engines are collecting on us. So search engines like Google, Bing, Yahoo, they collect the most consumer data on almost anybody in the world, right? And we actually have the tools to be able to mine that data and turn it into strategies. So one of the things I like to do when I'm working with clients is I'll ask them a question about their industry and they'll give me their answers. And then we'll actually look at the data and they'll see that they're completely wrong and they don't have a full understanding. And it's not always that they don't have a full understanding. We always come to the situation with our own knowledge and our own biases. But then we humans, if we're speaking to a customer service rep or a sales rep, we tend to not always give them the full picture. Then we run home and do all of our research on the search engines like Google. Well, now you can actually mine that data and you can compare what you see in the stores. You can compare it to the data that you're getting from the search engines. And then you can now put that into your digital strategy and you'll get a full holistic picture as to what is happening.
Yeah, I really love that point, Keron, because I think what you find is that we assume that we understand what our customers want. We assume that the things that we want and the things that we are putting out are matching exactly what the needs of our customers and our communities are. So really taking the time to find out what's really happening in the streets and maybe putting your gut on the back burner a little bit and trusting the data will always take you further. So I'm happy you mentioned that.
Okay.
Not hearing you, Katie.
Mute.
What do we mean by data? Because we tend to use these terms, but we have to realize that we're talking to lay people that literally they just want to get online, put their stuff out there, get sales, and go about their business. They're not marketers. So when we talk about data, how do we simplify that word so they understand exactly what we're talking about when we say to them, look at the data? What are we actually asking them to look at?
All right, now I know you said this is a very illustrative show, so let's do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a quick example. This is a free and easy way to see what is happening within your industry. So if I Bam, bam, bam. Hold on. Just maximizing. Let me share my screen. All right. So check this out, right? So let's say your business is cupcakes, right? And you want to know what is happening within your niche of cupcakes. What do people want when they're looking for cupcakes? If we type in the word cupcakes into Google, when the auto search bar comes up, it's actually showing you the top searches within the last 7 days, inclusive of that keyword you just put in. So me putting in cupcakes, this is showing me the top searches in the last 7 days that happened in Trinidad with cupcakes. Cupcakes near me, cupcake Trinidad.
Are you
Cupcake
sharing your
recipe.
screen?
Oh, are you seeing it or no?
No, I'm not seeing the screen.
We aren't.
Hold on. Let me try that again because I'm presenting. Let's try it. Hold on. Hold on. Share screen. Okay, what do you guys see right now?
I'm just seeing you.
No, you're not seeing.
Oh wait, here it is.
All right, cool. All right, let's do that again, right? So if we go into Google and we go to the search bar and we type in a keyword. So let's just say the industry, like I said, is cupcakes. I type in cupcakes. It is going to show me the top searches that have happened in the last week within Trinidad and Tobago, because I'm in Trinidad right now. So it's going to show me the information of what's happening within the country that you are physically in, and it's going to show you the top searches. So cupcakes near me means people are that the number one search is for people looking for cupcakes in my surrounding area. That's actually a command as well. So when you actually click on that, it's going to bring up the Google Maps. One of the digital strategies that we talk about is your business on Google Business? Can you be found on Google Search? Can you be found on Google Maps? When somebody types in the near me command, it automatically pulls up the Google Map. And it's going to show you, this is called the local pack. So this top 3 places is called the local pack. It's going to show the top businesses that are registered on Google Business that are selling cupcakes near to my physical location. If your business has not registered for Google Business, then you're not going to be showing up inside the Google pack. And when people are typing in near me, then you're not going to be showing up in that top 3 space. That's one of the things that you'd want to do, right? Going back, cupcakes. If you are looking at the rest of the stuff, cupcakes Trinidad, cupcakes in Kashmir, cupcakes with filling, cupcakes for boys, cupcakes for Christmas, cupcake recipes. If you are thinking about what type of content you should be creating, just using this free strategy, you could see that people are looking for cupcakes with filling. If I'm in the business of either creating cupcakes, then I would want to create cupcakes with filling because I know people are looking for it. Also, if I want to create content, I might do a recipe video showing people how to do cupcakes with filling. Christmas just passed, so cupcakes for Christmas. That was a big thing, right? And cupcake recipes and cupcakes design. These are things that you can now use. You can take that data, turn it into either content, turn it into a product, or turn it into a service. So again, that's just a quick and easy way to look at real-time data happening within your country, within your industry. And you could type in anything. Even if I were to type in steel, right? That's showing me the top searches for steel in Trinidad. Go ahead and try it. You're going to see a lot of information happening.
For sure. That was an excellent example for when you are, especially when you are thinking about, okay, what do I need? What kind of content do I need to be creating for my brand? So Karen just illustrated that if, for instance, your brand is, you're a baker, you make cupcakes, you need to be able to know what your audience is searching for or what is being searched for within your niche, within your industry. And then you can grab that, turn that into content, turn that into talking points, turn that into posts. You can take that information and make it work for your business. But let's talk about analytics. Racheal, going to Racheal. Let's talk about social media analytics, because I realize that for a lot of brands, creators, businesses in the Caribbean, we tend to focus a lot of our energy social media bound, right? But are we really using social media the way we are supposed to use it? Are we really getting the best out of social media? are we really looking at the analytics? Because these platforms collect a ton of information about us, a ton of information about our audience, a ton of information about what content people are looking at, where they're looking at it, who's producing it, all that stuff. Are we making the best use of that content? My answer is no. What do you say, Racheal?
I'm going to agree with you on that one there. I think that, again, it goes back to us by defaulting to either or gut instincts if we're the ones running the business, or if we're in corporate, what it is that we think corporate we're supposed to be doing this year, and kind of feeding our audiences and feeding our communities what we think works for us. I am a big proponent of going and seeing what the reports are, right? If we're talking about our own platforms, we can go into the back end and check the stats. What are your demographics actually like? Does it match your client profiles? Are we making assumptions about where our customers are based when they're interacting with us? Or are the people who are liking and loving and engaging, does that translate into actual sales? Are they going to hitting our websites and actually making purchases? What is happening after they've interacted with us? So go and look, right?
Literally, OpenAI. I'm going.
Open your
It's
eyes
free.
and look. Take the time when you pull those reports. If you're in corporate and you're getting your reports from your agency or your social media manager, take the time, read the reports, and have a conversation. Because how I love that Keron brought up Christmas, because how things have been working and operating, and what people are interested in Christmas is not necessarily what's going to be happening in January. We know that
No.
the industry and things quiet down in January, and different people pick up in January. So one, open your eyes, look at the insights, and look for the reports. We have tons of really good reporting that's coming out of the US that we can use to kind of, yeah, we're in the Caribbean, but we tend to follow some of the international trends. So look at Brandwatch, look at Amplify, look at Hootsuite. They do a fantastic report.
HubSpot.
HubSpot, they do fantastic reports and blogs that aggregate that information and give us insights on where people are thinking and where things are going. So
And
use the data available.
that's a good point too, especially for small creators and stuff. We tend to get into our own heads, and you are right, where we feel we know what type of content our audience wants to see, but really and truly we're only basing it off of the kind of content that we want to make. And sometimes
Absolutely.
we need to realize that the content that we want to make is not necessarily the content that our audience wants to see. So when you
Absolutely.
go to any of your social media platforms, I think social media platforms have gotten better at analytics. So when you go into your analytics, I want you to look at, first of all, we're talking about your audience. Who exactly is your audience? Because I keep telling people, not because people are following you means they're the right people that you want to get in touch with. And then you have people who follow you because you may have popped up somewhere, you did a post, they liked it, so they followed, they never come back to your page, right? So you have to make sure that you're honing in on the right people, and always trying to make sure that you're getting the right people to engage with, to follow, etc. So go and look at your audience. So the social media analytics will tell you how much percentage are males, how much percentage are females. They kind of give you a basic demographic idea of who these people are. You can look at some of the interests of these people, etc. So there's a lot of information that you can mine from this analytics. So basic information like when are they most likely to be on, the type of content that they engage with the most from you. There's also I think it's called a professional dashboard that you can get
Mm-hmm.
depending on the type of
How you've registered the
profile, yeah,
right.
that you
Mm-hmm.
have. You can get even more analytics. So guys, deep dive those analytics. And as Racheal said, HubSpot HubSpot is the content creation king. I tell
Mm-hmm.
you, they have content, they have a post, a blog for just about
Anything.
everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things that HubSpot does really well at is topic clustering. But we're gonna talk about that later on. Where they cluster different. Well, it's one broad topic, and they split that into like 5 million different topics and they cluster it. So in one blog post, there's like 20 million links in the one blog post that links you off to different pieces of content. And that's how I know, guys, that blogging is not dead. And we're
I
going to talk
wanna
about that when we talk
I
about
want to
marketing
throw
trends.
something in there. I want to
Yeah.
throw something in there, right?
Yeah.
So here's a funny thing.
Mhm.
I rarely ever look at social media analytics
Oh, yeah.
because it's a very small window of what's actually happening. And here's why.
Mhm. Yeah.
Social media analytics is only showing you what is happening on your
On
page,
that.
right?
Yeah.
But if you have a small audience, it's a very, very, very small sample size.
Yeah.
What people should be doing, I'm not saying you, but I just don't spend much time looking at that. But where I focus a lot of my energy on is a skill that every business owner should learn or should try to hire somebody or outsource this is digital market research as a skill. And this is something that we do as an SEO specialist. We have a lot of tools that mine the data from the search engines because that's using millions of data points
Points.
versus
Yeah.
the small things that are only happening on Instagram, right? So let me give you an example, right?
We love
Let me share
examples.
we're making it illustrative. I'm gonna share my screen, right? So
Yeah.
let's just say, are you seeing my screen right now?
Yep.
Can you make that bigger for me? All right, perfect. So I'm looking at the word cake, right? So I'm using a tool that is grabbing all of the data from Google and breaking it down for me. So I looked up the word cake in Trinidad and Tobago to see exactly how many times it was searched for in the last 30 days. Cake was searched for 1,300 times in the last 30 days. I can also see of the 1,300 times, how many people clicked on a result when they did that search on Google. I could then get a breakdown of the people conducting the search. So now I can see that 44% of the people looking for cake were between the ages of 35 to 44. Remember, this is mining Google's data. This is not
Yeah.
looking at just a small sample size from social media. But then we get to see all of the other things that people are looking for in relation to cake and the search volumes for that. I could then break it down by questions and see exactly what are the questions people are looking for, turn that into content or turn that into a service.
Mhm.
I can also see, I'm looking at cake and I'm looking at cake in the last 12 months in Jamaica. I can see the exact demographics as to where people are living searching for cake in Jamaica. Number one, St. Mary's. Two, St. Elizabeth. So we have access to tools and strategies to mine data to really craft a strategy and turn
Yeah.
that into content. And then that's going to be able to now grow your digital, your social media platforms where you're going to be able to get more data. So I'm not saying don't use your social media analytics, but you should learn the skill of market research so that you can mine data so that when you grow your analytics, you could use the social media data a lot better. It's going to be a lot more fruitful for you.
Okay, so that was an excellent example, Keron. The two things are not mutually exclusive. So what Keron just illustrated is how to expand out your search and how to use other data sets to bring that information in. And the reason why I mentioned social media is because, as I said earlier, when it comes to Caribbean based brands and businesses, we tend to gravitate very heavily and invest a lot of time into social media, which is something I think we should stop doing in 2023. But we're going to talk about that when we talk about digital marketing trends. So I'm glad that Keron bring that up to say, hey, there are other data points, there are other data sets, there are other ways of getting that data and plugging that into your strategy plan. So guys, let's break it out now. When we talk about strategy development, let's break it out now and look at what are the things, the different headers that should be in our plan. One of the things I think should definitely be in your plan are platforms. What are the platforms that you are going to utilize in 2023 to grow your brand, to become more visible, to become more relevant to your audience? So that's one thing that has to be in your plan, platforms. And Keron said it at the top of the show. Social media is just one element of digital. just one, not digital itself, but just one element of digital. So social media, what are the social media platforms that you should be on? And I'm sure you've heard people say before, you don't need to be on all of them. So you need to make sure that you understand which platform you should be on, or which platform will give you the most bang for your effort, the most ROI then, right? So that is one thing you should focus on. Keron, give me another platform that you think people should be planning around expanding their brands on this year. So social media is one. What are some other digital platforms?
Let me show it to you. So check this out, right?
Yeah.
This is a great example. All right. Pull up my screen and make it big so we can see it. Yeah. All right. See if you can. Yeah, perfect. All right. So I put this search term, can TikTok hurt your business, right? I did some content around how TikTok could hurt your business. But check this out. When we see this featured snippet, so we know that Google likes to grab snippets of data from platforms to display to people, right? This featured snippet is when you see the snippet, this is actually coming from Trinidad and Tobago Newsday, and this is an article that I did, right, on one of our media houses. If we go down the line, can TikTok hurt your business? Another link is coming from the KeronRose.com website. Then another link is to the actual podcast. Then another link is to the video on YouTube, and that has been broken down into multiple chapters, right? And then I'm going to show one more thing, just so you can kind of see the multitude of things that you could do. Clicking on this image, remember, Google and all the search engines also pull images from platforms to show it to you for reverse image search. But then this particular one is an actual Google web story. So there are stories on Facebook, there are stories on WhatsApp, there are stories on Instagram, but people don't know that Google Web Stories is a major platform that shows up in Google Discover, which is on Google, the Google search bar feeds. Also if you have an Android device and you swipe to the far left, there's an actual Google feed that pops up called Google Discover, and Google Web Stories shows up native in those platforms. So if you want to start thinking about expanding far beyond social media, because remember, social media is just one thing, but Instagram is also just one platform. Facebook is one platform. You need to start looking at things like having your website, because Google and all the search engines pull the information from websites. You have YouTube. If you want to show up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you want to have a podcast, you need to start looking at Google Web Stories so that you can start showing up in the Google Discover feeds. So when you start pulling together all of these different platforms, you can now build an entire holistic, massive digital footprint, and you don't always need to recreate brand new content. I will take one content idea and I will figure out how I can make it into a Google Web Story, a blog, an article for the newspaper to show up in the papers, a podcast. And that is how you could take that one idea and break it into multiple things to hit multiple audiences. Because remember, people consume content differently in three ways: audio, written, and visual. And that visual could be video or it could be so you need to be thinking about how can you hit those three different mediums. And when you hit those three different mediums, that's going to now carry you to creating podcasts, videos, blogs, and you'll start to see how you can fit it into multiple channels.
All right. Thanks for that. Keron, so pretty much, guys, what Keron is just saying is make sure that you are distributing your content across multiple platforms. That's what he really just said. Make sure that you're distributing your content across multiple platforms. And another thing he just said is, if you can get your content published in other publications, right? What's the word for that, Keron? When you have your syndication. So if you can have your content published on other platform or syndicated content, that also expands your reach. So in general, when we're talking about the metrics that Keron just talked about, is reach. He's talking about expanding your reach by distributing your content across multiple platforms, syndicating content as well, because there's a thing called backlinking, and this is an SEO strategy which Keron just demonstrated, called backlinking, where you write a piece of content, that content can get syndicated out, and that links back to your original piece of content on your website or your platform, so the traffic is coming back to you as well. And of course, how Google search engine operates, going around and finding content on these different platforms. And we're going to be talking about right now the Google Helpful Content Guide. The Google Helpful Content Guide is talking about the machine learning that they're using to rank content on websites to determine the informational and experiential value of the content and of that site. Is the content useful? Is it original? Is it insightful? Is it share worthy? And is it coming from a knowledgeable source? Now, let me show you how Keron hijacked the system, Keron, because he ain't going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you how Keron hijacked the system now. So let's talk about the knowledgeable source, because that's important. Because when we're talking about knowledgeable source, we're talking about reliability. So Keron is on a radio show. Keron has a podcast. Keron has a blog. He has a blog website. He has a personal website. He has multiple social media channels, right? And so every single channel that Keron is on, he's an authority on that platform, and he's sharing information that is original, insightful, useful, and reliable. And so he is literally hijacking Google's ranking system to say, hey, Google, you may not know this, but I'm an expert on this because this source says so, that source said so, that's so. So there are multiple sources that Google can pull from with this person who keeps popping up on those sources to say, hey, I think he knows what he's talking about because here are all these other sources that says he does. So that's kind of how you hijack that system, guys, to tell Google that I'm an expert in this. And this is what I was saying from last year. I got a shock in 2020-21 when I realized that the traffic coming to my website was not coming from social media. I thought it was coming from social media. It was coming from the podcast. The podcast that I didn't even pay so much attention to. That's where the majority of the traffic that came to Digital Jamaica, Digital Disruption Agency, was coming from the podcast, guys. So as much as you can distribute yourself across multiple platforms, expand, spread out across all platforms, you are then and getting traffic to those platforms, you are then telling Google that, hey, I'm an expert, people think I'm an expert, people find my content useful, rank me higher. That's what you're telling Google, right? Am I right or am I right, Keron?
That's exactly it. So when you're thinking about, what your digital strategy should look like, that is what a holistic digital strategy looks like. You are hitting traditional and digital channels and bringing it all together within your ecosystem. If you're only focusing on social media, that is a silo, because every social media operates in a silo, right? So that is a healthy, holistic digital strategy where everything is working in your favor and working together.
All right, Racheal. Let's go back to Racheal and talk about. So the second thing I think you need to have in your strategy is your communication plan. How are you going to be communicating with your audience? And it kind of goes back to channels, but we're not necessarily so different. There are different ways of communicating on different channels. Keron talked about the audio, the visual, and the textual, which is written, right? So you need to know, okay, what are the main ways that I'm going to be communicating with my audience? So when we're looking at communication plans, Racheal, what are some of the things that we should be considering when we're looking at communication plans, messaging, and all of that stuff?
Well, I mean, you guys had really gotten into it. I had a point on the previous thing that was shared.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I am 100% for distribution. I'm 100% for widening your reach. But we are the professionals that is our day-to-day, day in, day out. If we're thinking about somebody who's operating a business, right, who the marketing or the digital aspect of their business is maybe 10% of what they're doing every day, or they have somebody they've outsourced it to, I would encourage them to start off with that, hitting as many platforms as possible, and learning like you did, Kadia, what was actually giving you the results that you were experiencing with the traffic that you were seeing from the podcast. Because the truth is that it is ideal for us to try and hit as many platforms as we can, but resources are limited, time is limited, so we want to be smart about the platform. So I would say start off with a wide reach, see what works, and then we start to kind of cut and narrow down and try
Yeah.
to be as efficient as we can. I mean, as we said, we're the experts. We have the time, all the time, to be pushing out and learning and kind of pulling that information. But sometimes for our corporate customers and our business people, they don't really have that luxury. All right. So when we're talking about communication, what should I be considering when I am speaking to my audience? The word for me for 2023 is community, and my default is always authenticity. I think a lot of times we get caught up in what it is that everybody else is doing when they're creating content, how they're speaking to their audience, what it is that they're offering their audience. I think what we need to do is take the time to determine who we are, what we offer in the ways that you have, Kadia, and you have, Keron. Create a personality for your brand, and then go ahead and feed your community what it is that they expect to see from you, and what married with also what works. So that means understanding what is my role as a brand, as a company, in the digital space. What am I here to do? What value am I here to provide? And once I understand the value that I'm here to provide and I have that foundation, then I use that with all of the information that I have from our Google Trends and our other sources of information, and create the kinds of content that's going to match the value proposition that I have, and of course give value to the customers and the audience that I'm building across these digital platforms. So that is first and foremost. What is my foundation? Who am I? What am I here to provide to my audience? And then that will
Yeah.
guide everything else.
Yeah. And one thing I want people to understand is the minute you go online and start talking and putting content out there, you're creating expectations. And
Absolutely.
you need to make sure that you can actually satisfy those expectations. Because some of us come out the gate fire and then get tired real quick.
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
consistency just goes
Right down the
tanked.
drain. Right.
Because content creation is hard. Maintaining a digital presence is hard. All of that is hard, and Keron makes it sound easy because
Easy.
he's an expert and he knows all the tools and he knows all of that. But as Rachel said, for real, when you're looking at small creators and they are not as savvy as Keron is. They're not as savvy, so you have to make sure that you're a little bit more what's the word, intentional, that you are a little bit more you're focusing a little bit more on messaging, making sure that your messaging is on point, and then making sure that you know who you're talking to and where they are, because then you don't want to expend all that effort on TikTok and your audience is not on TikTok. And I'm glad that Keron actually brought up TikTok, because I'm in the process of writing an article, and the title of the article is actually everything that's wrong with TikTok. I'm serious, because everybody is so fascinated by TikTok, and TikTok is a drug. It is so addictive, but all that effort that is concentrated on TikTok by content creators don't necessarily benefit content creators. It benefits TikTok. But I'm gonna talk about this in the article. But I'm glad that Keron wrote that, because as soon as this is done, I'm running to that article to read it to see if Keron and I are thinking the same thing.
Let me throw one thing in there. Let me throw in there. What I will tell everybody, right, is I am a solopreneur, right? I do everything myself.
By yourself. Yeah.
It did not come overnight.
There you go.
I had to learn. I took, and that's the thing that people are missing out. I can do every single thing myself because I've learned and practiced it. It didn't happen overnight. So when I hear people say they don't have time, I call BS every single time, because when you learn how to do it, I've had to invest in the tools. I had to try different tools to get what I'm able to do. So I could do a podcast and a blog and syndicate it across multiple channels all within an hour, but that didn't come overnight. I had to learn how to do that.
An hour?
It didn't come, yeah.
Teach Teach me your ways, master.
but,
An
that's it. But that's it. I had to learn how to do it, right?
Keron,
So
an hour.
I will, yeah. My podcasts are typically 45 minutes, right? And 45 minutes to an hour. So once the podcast is recorded, I could then get it uploaded to the platform. I can have it transcribed, turn it into a blog, upload it onto the Digipreneur website, do SEO, and that takes me an hour on average, no more than an hour and a half. I usually set a Taurus Rally concert for 90 minutes. And by the time that is done, I have everything done. And it's because of how I've learned to do that. So I don't, again, when I do with my corporate clients, I don't want anybody telling me about time. It's not about time. It's about, are you willing to learn how to do it? Because once you learn how to do it, it's a system, and you can do it, right? So I will always call BS on time. It's just, are you willing to learn how to do it and then invest in the tools? And all the tools don't have to be expensive. There's a lot of free tools that I use to get what I need to get done. So everything you see is just me.
It's just him, but he's an expert. 1 hour.
I got there. I wasn't an expert when I started.
I am actually extremely shooketh. I don't understand. 1 hour. Teach me your ways, because listen. Okay, that's amazing. But with corporate clients, yeah, time is not an issue because you ain't doing it yourself. You have an entire marketing team. Let's be for real. But yeah, we're not going to do that. But with small creators, guys, the key is process. Setting up your process. How do you go from what is step 1? What is step 2? What is step 3? Setting up and perfecting a process is key to remaining consistent. I'd love to know what those tools are. He's going to tell us when we come to that. But let's quickly go to marketing trends. Now, guys, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on marketing trends here. Why? Because I actually did a video before. Where I did talk about marketing trends, and I'm going to bring it over right now so you can go and you can look at it. So this is the video that I did with Kamisha Anderson. She is a PR specialist and she's excellent. And we did a video called Smexit, Social Media Exit, How to Grow Your Business Without Social Media. And we talked about creating content. So I talked about the digital way and Kamisha talked about the non-digital way. So she talked about one-to-one marketing, event sponsorship, business networking, affiliate partnerships. She talked about all the ways you should be marketing offline, because guys, the magic happens when you have an integrated approach to marketing. So you're taking the traditional and the digital and you're blending them seamlessly. This is what we call omni-channel marketing, seamless blending. So no matter where people are coming in contact with your brand, it's a seamless experience that they're having, and you're directing them to your main channels. You're trafficking them there where you can then sell them stuff. Okay, guys? So go and watch that video. It is up on our channel, and we really went in on the different non-social media ways that you can market. So we're going to quickly move on to digital marketing trends. And these are strategies that we think you can use to 10x your growth, like supercharge growth on your digital platforms. So let's go into it. I talked about the Google helpful content guide. But my thing is Gen Z friendly marketing. That's where I'm going to start with my digital marketing trends 2023. You've seen the articles and stuff talking about how people are now using TikTok as a search engine, blah blah blah. For a long time, people have been using, or for quite a few years now, since social media kind of exploded, because 2022 2023 users of social media would not like social media 20 years ago. That's for damn sure, because social media 20 years ago was static and boring as hell. But Also, 2022 users of social media are suffering from content fatigue. They're suffering from the homogeneity of social media. Everybody now is doing the same thing and the sameness across social media. And Gen Z audiences are like, nah, yeah, we ain't doing that. So creating Gen Z friendly marketing means more dynamic content that is highly visual, short form content that they can easily consume, content that is emotive. They want to feel. It's all about feelings. I feel when I watched it, I felt, right? Feelings based content, trendy content, but original. So the big thing on TikTok now is I turned my mom into myself. That's a big trend now on TikTok. Everybody putting their mom into their own clothing and showing off their moms. But everybody wants to see it done in an original, different kind of way. So trendy but original, subtle messaging but impactful messaging, right? So they want you to sell to them, but they don't want a sales pitch. It's confusing as hell, right? But what you're also seeing, and one of the big things that you're seeing now, is what I call the QVCification of social media. Anybody here knows what QVC is? You guys know what QVC is?
Can we talk about it? They've just rebranded it and put it
On
online.
social media, do you guys
Live
know
on demand.
shopping?
Yes, shopping. Yes.
That's I call it the QVCification of social media. If you really pay attention to the content that gains the most engagement, especially on platforms like TikTok, it's people who are going on there to show off products, to say, hey, look at this bag. I bought this bag for $200. It's a 5 pockets. It's a line. And these are people who are the creators of these things. They go on TikTok live to talk about the brand, the clothes, the whatever. Amazon has a storefront now. Instagram shopping. There is Pinterest, who now has a feature like that as well. So all these social media based platforms, most of them, are now going into that kind of shopping based content, or providing tools that you can use to do that shopping based kind of content, because people don't necessarily want to leave social media to go look for it. They want you to sell it to them on social media, but make it fun, make it exciting, make it engaging. Catering to a dingy audience, guys, is hectic. it is it is it's a lot, because they want a lot, and they want it a particular way, but not. So it's confusing, it's hectic. But I think if you stay within certain guidelines, make sure you're showing up where they are, make sure, again, touchy feely kind of content, but not too much, because then you're doing too much. And then, oh, it's not that serious, but it is that serious. But Gen Z friendly marketing is going to be, I think it started back in the COVID period, and it's going to come full circle, I think, in 2023, when you have to make sure that your content is catering to that audience. It's dynamic, it's visual, it's easily consumable, it's copyable, it's shareable, it's fun, it's impactful, um and they can consume it right there within that app, and they don't have to jump all over the place. So that's my first digital marketing trend for 2022. It's Gen Z friendly marketing. Racheal, what's your first trend for 2022?
Do you know what? I think we are kind of on the same page. I did not focus on Gen Z specifically, but what stood out for me is the fact that people want less is more nowadays. So when we started out, you talked about social media a couple of years back. It was highly produced. It was very curated. It had to be it felt like perfection was the goal when it came to creating content. That is no more. It is out the door. It is all about authenticity. It is all about giving me clean, simple, what is it that we say in Jamaica? Cheap and clean. Like, it's about producing consistent content that, yes, still has the quality and still looks good, but not overly curated, not overly produced, not perfect. Our audiences are now looking for, and they feel endeared when it comes to quirks, and understand, yes, they love a quirk. They love a quirk, right? It's the idea of, what is it about Racheal? What is it about Kadia that connects or that is relevant to me,
The
and that is
feeling,
what is the
the touchy
feeling, the
feeling.
touch.
Yeah.
Listen, and then you know why authenticity is so important, because when you start feeling like you're doing too much when you're faking it. I mean, these are digital platforms, but we all know that we can sense when people are doing too much, when it's moving from that realm of being genuine, you know. So yeah, they're asking their brands and companies for more. Show us
For
who
more
you are.
authenticity,
Tell us
originality. Yeah.
originality. What is your ethos? Why should I pick you? Everyone is here trying to sell me something. What is it about you that connects to something within me that makes me want to spend my money, or makes me want to, even more than spend my money, pay you in attention? Because
Mhm.
this is a competitive space. Everybody is fighting for
It's a
everybody's
blood
eyes.
sport at this point.
It is a blood sport. Like, you can't, you're constantly being bombarded. So we're tired. So give us more. We want
Yeah.
more.
All right then. Keron, what's your first strategy or trend? Sorry.
So one of the key things that everybody has to keep in mind is all of that with what we see in terms of the QVC-ification of social media. The majority of that's irrelevant for the Caribbean because all of those features are not in the Caribbean.
Well, you
And we
can go
have to
live on
drive.
TikTok.
Well, no. Live is one thing, right? But I'm talking about the e-commerce of social media is not available in the entire Caribbean region.
Yeah.
So a lot of that the QVC works because you can see it on the platform and buy on the platform. That does not work in our entire region. So for us, we are going to have to drive traffic back to a platform, which is going to be your website for this sale to happen. So in order for this to really work for us, the trend for me is in 2023, you need to start marrying your long form content of substance with your short form content, because 2022, we got a lot of short form, trendy, substanceless content flooding.
I call it
Everybody,
fast food content.
yeah, like it's almost irrelevant. And we got a lot of people who blew up over 2022 who have built a large following, but there's no substance, and they're not going to drive any form of decision. What we're going to see in 2023 is people are going to start looking for more substance. Now, because we are in the Caribbean, and again, we cannot purchase any of these products or do any sort of e-commerce on social media, and because we have to drive it back to a website for the sale to be completed, we are going to have to now match your long form content. So now is a great time to start getting into podcasting. Now is a great time to start focusing on that YouTube channel. Start meshing the long form platforms or channels with your short form content. And you could break up the bits and pieces of a podcast, of a blog, of a YouTube video, then chop it up for social media and drive everything back to your website where the sale can actually happen. Because we do not have the e-commerce tools on social media for the entire Caribbean region, again, we need to ensure that we can focus on driving traffic back and not just leaving people to be all hype and happy on social media because money's not being made. And this is why companies are cutting back spend on marketing or letting go people on marketing or combining 10 roles
In
of
one, yeah.
to one person to justify marketing, because most Caribbean marketers are not focusing on how you actually making money. Forget the likes. The likes ain't paying the bills. How are you actually turning this into business to be relevant for the companies on social media?
Leave it to Keron to come in with that reality bit slap. Leave it to Keron to bit slap you back into reality, because he's absolutely right. And this is why on my prediction list too is diversification of content and the return of long form content. Going back to the QVCification though, when I'm talking about QVCification, yes, a lot of these platforms you can, like for instance, Instagram Shop, which is not in Jamaica, where you can literally shop from within the app. But QVCification though can work for us, but as Keron said, you have to make sure that your external processes are set up to manage that traffic. So if I should do a TikTok live, say I sell clothes and I have a TikTok live fashion show, then right, I'm trying on the different pieces and I'm talking about this, the what are we in, spring, the spring fashions that you should be incorporating into your 2023 closet. That's the live show, and I'm showing them the different spring pieces, and we're talking about the spring colors and all that good stuff. How do I then convert that into actual sales? Well, then on TikTok, you have your links. You can put your links in TikTok and send people there. How do you collect money? That's a whole other thing. And if you want to know about collecting money, Keron have a video. I saw a video on his platform. They talk about the 5 ways that you can get paid if you are a Caribbean, if you have an e-commerce business in the Caribbean. Go and check that out. So it's about moving that traffic from that QVC live that you did to your platforms, so that you can then get sale. Because you see that 2 o'clock in the morning, browsing TikTok, watching this live, that kind of what you call it, people buying without even thinking about it. That's where a lot of people get sales. Okay, so making sure that you are literally then trafficking that engagement from social media over to the platforms where you can actually close out and do the sales over there. But guys, let me tell you something about viral content. Viral content is not organic in 2022 or 2023. It has not been organic in a while. Okay, viral content is algorithm based, and you have to do a lot. You literally have to skin out on social media for the algorithm to actually see you and send you viral. So how the algorithm works to get you viral, it's not organic at this point. And everybody can go viral at this point. Viral content is not sacred anymore. Celebritydom is not sacred anymore, because literally celebrity is one viral tweet away or one viral post away. The problem is, how do you convert that virality into actual money? Because that's what you really should be interested in. So having a piece of content go viral is nice. It's cute. It's great. 1 million views, fantastic. Does that 1 million view convert to money? If it doesn't, it was for naught. Okay, so converting that viral content into money is going to be important. For some of us, we jump on a trend, people tend to like it, it goes viral, they follow you, but you cannot replicate that because it's not organic. So you can't replicate it, and then you create an expectation that you cannot satisfy, and you lose people, and it's hard to get them back after that. So don't focus on going viral, focus on substance, as Keron said, and making sure that you're consistently producing substantive content. So that's one. So when we talk about content diversification, we're talking about, Keron said it, Racheal said it, spread out. Podcasts, blogs, guys. Some people think blogs are dead. They're lying. Keron just proved it earlier. Blogs are not dead. Blogs are very much still a great source of engagement because it has SEO quality. And if you have, because it can be SEOified, and once you get SEO right and Google gets behind you, Google is where the star power is at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Get it right and get Google behind you, and trust me, your business is going to grow. So blog is one thing that I think all businesses, all creators, everybody should invest some time in, because it's also about putting your establishing your authority on a subject or within a particular space, and letting people know that you are knowledgeable about this, you provide insightful content, as I said before, and that the content is reliable. That's one thing. Another thing with blogs too is that it's an information source. It's informational content, and it can be evergreen content that people are always going to need this information. So as best as possible, create content that is evergreen. Same thing with your podcast. It's a relatively new medium in the Caribbean, but it's getting more and more widespread. So, and podcast has the power to reach not just local audiences, but regional audiences and international audiences as well. Your market doesn't have to be Jamaica. Your market doesn't have to be Trinidad. Your market can also be diaspora, or people who are interested in the Jamaican brand is a big, humongous international brand. How are you tapping into that? your podcast could be where you tap into that, because people want to know what is happening in Jamaica. What can I jump on? What where are the industries that I may need to be concentrating my investments in and all that? You have a podcast telling them that, or you have a podcast where they can go to find that information. Bam, there you are, reaching more people, right? Expanding. So diversifying your content, as Karen said, creating long form content that is highly repurposable for your short form platforms, and just putting that content out there. I think that's the second trend that you're going to see happening here. Content diversification across um, very selected platforms, not every platforms, but intentional platforms that you're actually looking at to see where your audience is and where is the best place. Because you can have an audience on Instagram, TikTok, you can have an audience on every platform, but where are they most likely to engage you on? They may not want to engage you on Twitter or TikTok, but they may want to engage you on Facebook, because you can do more over in that space. They can engage you in more ways over in that space. So kind of niching down in terms of platform as well, and then creating content for specific platforms. YouTube, long form content, repurposing it on social media platforms. That's what we are talking about, right? Being intentional about the platforms that you're creating content on, creating long form content that is highly repurposable, that's copyable, that's shareable, that's insightful, that's original, all of that good stuff. So that's my next prediction, or for trend: content diversification on specific platforms that you can then repurpose, as Keron said. So Keron, what is your next trend?
In the words of the great Dr. Terry Carell, community building.
Ooh,
So
we're all in
we
agreement on that one.
so community building, we're going to see, I think this is the year where we might see more Caribbean entrepreneurs and businesses on platforms like Discord. I think Facebook groups is still probably the most relevant aspect of Facebook. If you can start to build a community and a group around your brand and in your niche, and you can give people a home, that is going to be one of the best things that you can do for your brand this year.
Give people a home.
Give people
Powerful.
a home. Give
Yeah.
people a home.
Yeah. Racheal, I know, Racheal, one of yours was community building as well. You want to add to that?
Absolutely. I think what I would piggyback with that on is the rise of what we're calling owned properties. So we talked about building communities. We're talking now about making sure that we are creating those email and customer databases. Karen mentioned websites, making sure that you have your website, it's well maintained, and communities. So the idea that it's not only about pushing out content on social and on these other platforms, but giving people a space, yes, outside of social, where you can interact with them directly. In a lot of cases, we're also talking about opportunities for us to deepen our knowledge of our customers and their customer needs. And we can do that by building out customer databases, whereas after they've committed that first time with that subscription, it's giving them opportunities to share more information about themselves with us so that we can give them
Personalized
more
content.
personalized content, more personalized attention, more personalized services. So yeah, I would add community building, so making sure that we're owning those properties so that those communities have a space to interact with, and we can get more information from them to
And
serve them better.
and just so people know, what are some of the owned assets that you can start to build. So we mentioned your website, mentioned
Website,
email lists, right?
email.
Think SMS, text messages. People still
Mhm.
text messaging. Text messaging is a big thing as well. Think about WhatsApp, right? So
WhatsApp
if you can use
community.
WhatsApp business and you can start
Telegram,
putting out Telegram, right? Also
Discord.
Discord, push your push notifications. So you can also build a push notification list that allows you to now distribute your content or distribute messages onto people's mobile devices, their tablets, and their computers. So those are some of the own channels you could start to really think about, just to add to Rachel's point.
For sure. So, guys, we're talking about community marketing, and all of us agree on this one. Community marketing. Community marketing remains undefeated. When I talk about organic content, organic marketing, I'm mainly talking about community. Building a community for your brand, for your business. These are the people who will promote you. These are the people who will bring you into spaces you would have never been in unless they brought you into that space. These are your fans. These are the people who will support your business no matter what. And I always give the example of the Bayhive. Now, people might think, why are you talking about Beyonce and the Bayhive when you talk about community? Because they're the biggest community on the internet. And they make this woman billions of dollars. Okay? Let's
It's
talk about
Beyonce's internet, Kadia. It's
exactly.
Beyonce's internet.
Let's look at, and I keep talking about blog posts that I'm writing that I never finished, but don't judge me. Another blog post that I actually started writing was looking at the Beyonce's latest album drop, Renaissance Act 1. How that was executed was absolutely freaking genius, because Beyonce did not need billboards and blah, blah. All she needed was somebody to leak that shit in the community space. And let me tell you, her community took that shit viral. First of all, Beyonce is always trending on Twitter. Beyonce is always trending on TikTok. She never stops trending. And it's because people, there are think pieces around every single song on that album. Every single song have like 10 million think pieces and the deeper meaning behind these things. And Beyonce is the moment. And Beyonce is, this is all coming from her community. And nobody does community marketing better than Beyonce on this here internet. And there's a lot of lessons we can learn from her about community marketing and making sure that you're feeding your community exactly what it is that they want. You are actually creating content that will help them create content. And this is another thing that I want y'all to pay attention to know. Creating content that is copyable and giving that to your community so they can create content that is copyable. Because if they can go viral on your content, that's value. That is value. And I give you an example of that. And this is an example I used in one of my classes. There's a channel on YouTube called JCS Criminal Psychology. Let me share my screen so I can show you. JCS Criminal Psychology. This channel, let me go to the channel, was one of the first channels, and you're only seeing like 3 videos now because, well, they've started adding back the videos. I want you to look at the views. 32 million, 19 million, 63 million, 4.3 million. Their views are in the millions. Now, everybody knows about true crime content. True crime content is extremely popular no matter what platform you're on. Podcasts, social media, YouTube, blogs. True crime content is probably one of the most prolific content on the internet. But remember, we talked about originality and moving away from sameness and homogeneity where everybody's creating the same thing because that's what the algorithm wants. That's the trick. And that's one of the reasons why I think TikTok is harmful. But let's focus. JCS did something different. It is a true crime channel, but he focused on the psychological aspects of crime. How is it that people whose job it is to investigate crime and bring people to justice, how they approach it psychologically, and the interplay between criminal investigators and the justice system and the psychological aspects that underpin all of that. Nobody was doing that before. And now what you have is JCS has actually created his own genre of true crime. One broad category that is extremely popular, but one specific genre that he has created. So now when you type in JCS inspired, Everybody's now creating JCS inspired, JCS inspired, JCS inspired. So what he has done is created his own genre. People have taken that genre and associating themselves with that genre, because if it says JCS inspired, people are more likely to watch it because it's a new, fascinating, interesting genre that a lot of people were not doing before. So now JCS inspired is a subgenre in and of itself of a broader category. This is how you create content that is copyable, that is shareable, that is original, and that is insightful. Remember that Google helpful content guide? So this is what I'm talking about. You creating content that people can then copy and create their own content off of. So it's like you're feeding the masses, and this is where community content really comes into sharp relief. Okay, and this is why long form content is also important, because if you look at what we call outrage marketing too. Outrage marketing is like creating a stir, getting other people to talk about it, and then benefiting from that, which is what Rolling Stone did recently when they did their list of top 100 musicians or something, singers, and Celine Dion was not on the list, and the internet went batshit crazy. How can you have a list of top 100 singers and not include Jennifer Hudson and Celine Dion? Are you crazy? But then this is what Rolling Stone did. Rolling Stone said, disagree? Go vote on our website and tell us what you think. They knew exactly what the hell they were doing when they made that list. That list was created to cause outrage, to shock, to generate conversation, to drive engagement, and send them back to their website. That's how you do it in 2022. And that's how you create content that is copyable, that is shareable. And this is how you can incorporate outrage marketing into your content in 2023. So that's my next trend. Outrage marketing and how to do it correctly. And it doesn't necessarily have to be outrage in a bad way, or although that's kind of what it means, but how to create content that will generate conversations, right? And then how to then drive that conversation back to the source, which is you. So that's my trend. So that's two things a while ago. Kind of creating original content that can inspire other pieces of content. And a part of that is creating content that will drive conversation and that other people will want to create content around because they want to stitch, they want to do it, they have their own opinion about your opinion, and everybody have an opinion about that opinion, and everybody want to share their own opinion around that thing. Think Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial and how that 10x growth for YouTubers, TikTokers, tweeters right across the platform. That's the kind of mindset that I want you guys to be in when you're thinking about content creation. So Racheal, what is your next trend? And then we're going to move into how to practically incorporate these trends.
Well, I'm happy that you ended on the note of content creators, because I think that is where we should start putting our money when we're talking. And this is directed towards corporate or people who want a partner. I think previously influencers were the big thing. It's the, as you said, the celebrities, the well-known people, the people with these gigantic followings. I think that, and we've seen it through the past year, our focus will be on our micro influencers. I am seeing a greater interest in and greater impact from our micro influencers. And I think that all ties back to community. The idea that these smaller content creators are going to be able to get in front of these niche audiences that they have more one-to-one contact with. And then you'll be able to actually reap more in terms of engagement. Also, the usage of content creators over influencers when we're thinking about the actual creation of the content. Normally, what would happen is you would you would pay an influencer to maybe have something, your brand or whatever, in the video, in the background, or what have you. We are talking about the rise of creativity, as you said, originality, authenticity, substance, by engaging with these smaller, more content driven, the people who are actually creating the content pieces, I think we're going to be able to marry brands, see more about corporate brands that maybe we wouldn't consider day to day when they are used by these micro influencers in more creative ways. So yeah, I think we're gonna see definitely more of or and if we're not seeing it, people with the money, the big marketing budget people, let's focus on the small guys. I think we're gonna get more bang from buck right there.
All right. So Rachel said, focus on small creators. They're more authentic. It's more organic looking. It's more native looking. And they have an audience that they can that they can have a bigger impact on, because the bigger your audience is, the less likely it is that you're going to be able to be relatable, and reach them, right? So smaller content creators are more involved within that community, and so they have more influence over that community. I think that's what Rachel is saying. Rachel?
Absolutely. And I think,
Right.
guys, just because we need to stop focusing on vanity metrics as well, right? Just because you have a gigantic following, it doesn't mean that your content is reaching 1%, 2% of this following. So let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's ask for a little bit more, and let's invest where we can actually see some return and marry that. I'm sure Keron is going to hop into the website and connecting everything together. Make sure your dots connect. Don't just spend money for spend money's sake. We need to know what it is our goal is for engaging these people. Let them do what they do best and reap the rewards from there. Just be smart about who we choose.
Exactly. So when you're engaging content creators, don't go to them and ask them to do things that they would not normally do, because then that's going to look inauthentic as hell, and y'all going to lose and they're going to lose, and ain't nobody got time for that. So leave the people there, make them do what they usually do, because that's why you come to them in the first place. Yes. Keron, what's your next trend?
Micro influencers is gonna be my thing. So yes, kudos to that. I think micro influencers, um, people who are and a lot of the thing with micro influencers too is that they tend to specialize within their niche, and more businesses need to find outside creators or micro influencers who specialize within their niche, and then join together. So I'll tag that on. But the last trend I'll say is first party data collection. We know that cookies are going to be irrelevant in 2023 as Google shuts down their cookie system and Apple and Facebook continue to have the riff. So you're going to have to start collecting your own data. So what does that mean? That means if you want to collect your own data, you need to ensure that if you have your website, you want to set up Google Analytics 4. Start using that, because the old Google Analytics is going to be dead come June anyway. So you
Yeah,
want to
they've
set up
changed it out.
GA4, right?
Yeah.
Then you want to ensure that you have your CRMs, your customer relationship managers, like a HubSpot set up as an example. You want to ensure that you have email marketing so that you can start to collect your own emails. Remember, emails is data that you can collect. So you want to start collecting your own data as well. You want to start doing your own surveys. Surveys is going to be huge this year.
I agree.
Because surveys is going to be huge this year because we can't rely on a lot of the data tools that we have been accustomed to, because again, they're going to be cracking down on some data. So you're going to have to spend a lot of time collecting your own data. You're going to need to know what types of data that you're going to want to collect, and you're going to have to get familiar with what tools you're going to be able to use and where you can integrate these tools. If you're going to use a survey, where are you going to put this survey? What is your strategy to driving people to fill out this survey? You're going to have to do a lot of work in terms of collecting your own data, because this year, yeah, it's going to get real when it comes to your first party data collection.
Right. So yeah, definitely agree with that. But the problem I have Karen is cookies going away and Google Analytics changing. Is that going to make much of a difference? Were we actually collecting data in the first place? Were we actually even using these data sources in the first place?
Well, that's a Caribbean problem. That's
Exactly.
right. That's a Caribbean problem. So the people that were collecting data, you've always had the advantage, right? There are people who It's a very, very, very small group, but there are people who, have learned how to master data collection and have been putting it to good use. I, for one, I'm gonna cry because I have to learn a whole lot more new stuff now, right? So, but yeah, this is a good time for people to start learning how to collect data, because if you're not collecting data and you're flying blind and you're creating random content that nobody wants, you're not going to grow on social media. And even if you are somebody who is always looking at vanity metrics, how are you going to feel when you're not even growing the vanity side of things, right? How are you going to feel when you're not even growing that, right? So
And
you so yeah, you're gonna want to start to learn how to properly collect data so that you can create better content, create more aligned products and more aligned services, so overall you can make more money. So now is a good time to start learning.
shots fired, people.
Always.
Shots.
Bam bam.
Karen. Again, I shots fired. So, um, Rachel, what is your last trend? And then I'm going to give my last trend because I know you guys are going to look at me funny for this last one. So, Rachel, you go. What's your last trend?
Okay. All right. So I'm going to skip over some of the stuff that we kind of have brought up before. I think my last trend is going to be the rise of AI and AR tools. I think a lot of people are
Yep.
some people are scared, some people are excited. I'm more excited more than anything. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to start learning about these tools and how it is that they can make our lives easier, especially as professionals. So I'm seeing opportunities when it comes to immersive experiences, when we're talking about the inclusion of AR and VR. We have started to see that a little bit right here in Jamaica. Big up Don Dada, Bonito
Dada.
Thompson, yeah,
Mhm.
who has been doing it with art, and I'm seeing where he
And
started
with
to do.
artists and companies. Yeah.
Right, we're starting to see it get into the corporate space and move away from it being purely creative. I love the idea of that, and I think that we're going to see more of that. Some more wow factor. Whether this has been able to be tied back to leads or tied back to sales, we don't know right now, but that's an opportunity there. The chat open AI, everybody's excited about that. That was trending for a couple weeks now, and it's still a big deal. I think that is an opportunity for our content creators to use it to come up with some new and good ideas. I'm
Yep.
seeing an opportunity there. And then of course our AI art. Guys, let me tell you, I think Kadia being in the space, and I think maybe Keron you would have as well. There is someone on Twitter who did like some drawings of some futuristic uniforms or something for Jamaica. And I did note a comment where somebody said, "Oh, you used AI to generate this." And the thought here is that even though the technology is not quite there yet, because I tried out one of the tools myself, and boy, what I got back was horrible.
Rubbish.
Rubbish. Listen, rubbish.
It was
But
absolute rubbish.
here's the opportunity, and I had the pleasure of talking to the creative director of Represent Nigash. We work together. The idea is that it's going to be a really great tool for people who already have the skill set to kind of give them ideas and how it is that they can reimagine and like reinvigorate themselves in terms of how things that they can consider with their own actual design. So I think that that is also a fantastic opportunity as well. I have Web3 with an asterisk. I love the idea of NFTs and the idea of community exclusivity. Exclusivity. Hold on. Hear me out. Right? I'm not a blockchain expert. I'm not that kind of thing. I like the idea of it. I can see the value in it if it's utilized properly. Do I have a full understanding of it? No. So I'm not going to talk about inclusion of that this year, but I have it as something to watch.
Decentralization of social media has been something that decentralization has been something we've been talking about for some time now. That's the whole premise behind Web3. But all the use cases for Web3 that we have seen to date have been scams. And so at this point, when it comes to NFTs, as a lot, I did an entire last season of the podcast was focused solely on blockchain. So shameless plug, please go and check out the Digital Jamaica podcast where I had local experts talk to me about blockchain and the different ways that we can use blockchain. But what I notice is that a lot of the conversations that we had about blockchain and Web3 and stuff were people looking at the more practical use cases of blockchain and NFTs, etc. But what is actually happening right now in the world of NFTs is not really about the practical aspect of it.
Absolutely.
It's more about the gimmicky stuff, like the as I said, the NFTs,
Hear
it's
me.
really NFTs.
The shock and awe, but hear me out.
Hold on a second. The only
Yeah.
social media that I see coming out of this is Mastodon. You guys know Mastodon. That the Twitter elites are now migrating to Mastodon because Elon Musk have violated, right? So everybody is now talking about Mastodon and how Mastodon is a community generated or community based or created platform, social media esque platform, and that people are starting to gravitate to that. But
Okay,
are they really?
I'm not thinking about it as social media. Actually, I was thinking about it from a marketing perspective. The idea that I can, if I use the technology, I could possibly create something with exclusivity for my community.
Mhm.
So it's more of a use case for including it as a part of maybe a campaign or something like that. Like I
Okay.
said, haven't explored it fully. I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to say anything else about the NFTs and the scamming and the this and the that and the other. I'm going to sit myself down. But that is my approach. Not so much the social, but more
Uh-huh.
how it is that you could possibly utilize it in a digital campaign to give value to your community in a way that it feels exclusive. I
Got
could
it.
see it
Got it.
being
Got it.
used.
After, because literally, I was like, "Oh, blockchain sounds exciting, NFT." And then after I did that series, I'm like, I don't know about
Cue
how I feel about
scammer
it because
music.
yes, because that guy that got arrested the other day, what's his FX FSX
FTX.
FTX, and then before that, the couple that got arrested for stealing $45 billion worth of crypto. It's like, and then now CoffeeZilla, the back and forth between CoffeeZilla and Paul Logan that's happening on social. It's like scams. Anyways, scams on top of scams. But anyways, my last take is that I think people should decentralize social media. And I'm talking about my personal 2023 strategy is to take 90% of my focus off social media. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think right now social media is not social mediaing. Social media ain't doing what it's supposed to do no more because Zuckerberg is too busy trying to keep up with TikTok. And TikTok is too busy trying to become the next world superpower, right? There's a lot of shit going on over on TikTok. And then Twitter is exploding because Elon Musk don't have a clue what the hell he's doing, right? And Facebook been a non-starter for a lot of us for a very long goddamn time. LinkedIn for me is like the Mean Girls Club. I don't like LinkedIn. I want to be honest with you. LinkedIn to me is so cliquish, right? It's so elitist and cliquish. And I'm like, you know what? There's too much noise, too much homogeneity, too much sameness, too much distraction. How can I funnel my community and audience into a platform where it's just me? I'm centralizing my goddamn self in 2023. Y'all gonna pay attention to me and me alone. God damn it.
Yes, cult
I,
leader.
I, I am the overlord this year and you're going to pay attention to me. No, but in all seriousness, how do I get my audience into a space? And this is what you guys were talking about with community. How do I get my audience into a certain space where I can shut out the noise, the distraction, and have them focus on the messaging that I want them to focus on? How do I get them into a space where I can have direct communication with them, consistent communication with them, and I am the one who is influencing what happens within that community? That's what I'm focused on in 2023. And it might sound funny, like, you don't want second opinions. No, I don't want second and other opinions. What what I want is more engagement around particular things, because if my community trusts me as the person who knows how to get them what it is that they need, the person who knows how to create value for them, then I don't need 5 other million people distracting. Because this is what's been happening in my groups, because I have groups scattered all over the place. People come and get, hey, look at this social media guru who said this. And I'm like, guys, that don't make no sense. And then I have to go and explain why it don't make no goddamn sense and why they shouldn't listen to it. But the thing is, I am not the only one in that space, because part of the value that I provide for my community is bringing Keron, is bringing Racheal, and is bringing all the other people that I know are experts, that I know what the hell they're talking about, and say, listen, if you're going to listen to anybody else, listen to these people. Okay, so that's part of the value that I bring. So what I'm trying to do is create a distraction-less space, a space with less distraction, a space that is more value concentrated, and a space that's reciprocal. So I'm giving value, and in return, my community gives value to me. That's the kind of space I'm trying to create in 2023. And so a lot of the concentration for me is going to be community based. So a lot of the content and stuff that I'm going to be creating, you can only access through my community. Yes, I'm going to be on social media, but I'm going to be doing the bare minimum on social media to make sure that I'm still saying, hey, I'm here. But guess what? The community is popping. That's where y'all need to be. So bare minimum on social media, concentrating on my community space. As Keron said, give them a space that they can come to, building out that space and building out my own properties. So this is how I'm taking everything that these two experts have said and kind of making it my strategy for 2023. So website, concentration on podcasts, concentration on long form content, concentration on building a house that I can bring my community to, so we can a hangout spot, so we can have more substantive conversations, engagement that can, where I can actually see results coming out of that. That's my strategy for 2023, and that's what I think a lot of people should do. Create homes for your community and bring them into distractionless space where you have more control over how you engage and the value that you bring and the value that is reciprocated. Now, I know y'all looking at me funny, but I say what I said. Okay. Keron?
I agree. I agree. I agree 1,000%. I think for me, I've been fortunate that when I started my tech blog back in 2016, just the people that I learned from the jump, that was always the message. So when I got into Gary Vee, when I got into Damon John, when I got into Daniel Priestley, Chris Ducker, everybody had the same message. You use social media and drive traffic back to the assets that you own. And the only difference from 2016 to 2023 is I started off with a small house, and now I have built a bigger house. And it's just going to keep on getting bigger with the more that we grow and the more channels that we add. All right. So I 100% agree with you. There's a lot of noise on social media, but stay focused and bring traffic back to your platform. Now, I want to add in one thing to Racheal. Now, she said she was testing out the AI tools, the AI artwork, and she's like, mess.
It's rubbish.
No, let me show you something.
Keron, you're the only person of the three of us who have used it, who have gotten decent results. Okay, it's been
All
shit.
right, hold on. Watch
Listen,
it.
I know it can do a fantastic job. I'm just saying that I feel like a
It
part of
don't
the
work for me.
expertise is going to be learning how to manipulate the tools to get
Yeah,
what you want.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna be like us.
So,
You should go on my
Kadia,
TikTok and see what came out.
Kadia, pull up the screen. Pull up the screen share. Pull up the screen share. Right?
Okay.
See if you can pull it up big. Right. So I took about 3 days to play around with Mid Journey,
Mid journey.
and between Mid Journey and Canva, I was just creating stuff, and I'm like, yo, this is absolutely amazing. So for everybody watching, this is all AI artwork, and then just customized and styled in Canva. And just spending time, like I would spend time just looking at what the prompts people are using to create the images that they are creating, and then trying them out for myself to get these results. So all of these pieces of art are words. So how Midjourney works is you describe what you want in words, and it spits back out the image that you want.
Yeah,
So
that's how they work. Yeah.
if you can learn, folks, how to get the right prompts, then you can create some amazing artwork and then use a Canva or any other styling tool and create your own art. But there's a learning curve. There
I
is
think this
a
is I
learning
think this
curve.
is gender discrimination, because let me tell you all something. I was using Dolly, actually. Dolly. I was using that, and I typed in superhero dog on a mountain with a bone or something that effect. The rubbish. The absolute rubbish that gets spit back out on me. Oh my god. But before I forget, next week on the show, guys, we are actually talking about AI and its impact on the art community, because that's a conversation that's happening online now. So we are going to bring in the experts, the artists from Jamaica, and we're going to have that conversation about AI art and its impact on its impact on how artists make money in 2022, because it's a discussion about ethics as well. Tech and ethics is a discussion about that, and it's also about social engineering. It's about what happens in the social space, because if you look at what TikTok is doing, guys, all of us, TikTok was the first to jump on it. Like, we have a TikTok AI filter now, right? They're the first to jump on it. I know, have an AI filter, and that's a lot of people going viral with that kind of topic, yeah, on TikTok now. The trend is you use the AI filter and you do a live reaction to the results or whatever. So TikTok is the first to jump on it, and I'm sure you're gonna see other platforms use it, because they're always looking for a way to keep you addicted and hooked. And that trend has got people in a chokehold over on TikTok. But guys, moving quickly, let's look at no. So we've talked about the trends, and we've actually talked about some practical ways to incorporate it. So I'm very happy about that. So Racheal and Keron actually talked about some of the practical ways to incorporate those trends into your strategy. So we talk about creating a community space. I talked about Gen Z friendly marketing, which is just making sure that your content is highly visual, that is emotive, that is trendy but original, all that kind of stuff. Keron talk about data, making sure that you're collecting data. Guys, get started on your email list building. Get started on collecting other data from other platforms. Making sure that if it's Facebook Pixel that is on your site, make sure that you have now updated your Google Analytics and you've changed over to the GA4. Making sure that you're doing all these things that will help you to collect more data. Making sure that you're spread out, as Keron illustrated. Make sure that you have content right across multiple different platforms, but make sure that you're choosing your content, your platforms carefully, and you're not just dashing out for dashing out's sake, but you are very intentional. Don't laugh, Rachel. That you're very intentional with the platforms that you're choosing to create content for, because we're working smarter and harder this year. Making sure that you're not creating content for algorithm, but you're creating content for your audience, because these are two different things. Making sure that you understand what it is that your audience wants, and not try to take yourself out of the equation. As Racheal said, it's not about you, it's about what your audience wants. So these are some of the practical ways you can incorporate some of these trends, and making sure that, guys, listen, trends are cute, but what works for you, god damn it. And it may not be trendy at the moment, but if it works for you, it works for you. It's just making sure that you're tweaking, because it can continue to work for you, but not necessarily in the exact same way. So this strategy may work for you. For me, organic strategy work for me. I'm less of a paid person and more of an organic person. That's my strong suit. But how organic work has changed, and I have to know that how organic works have changed, right? So the organic strategies that I usually use, that usually works, may not work for me, but it's for me to go, okay, how can I still continue using an organic strategy but incorporating different things that will actually now work? So if it works for you, it works for you. If paid works for you, paid is even different too. How paid ad works on social media has changed. So you have to make sure that you're keeping up with the trends, keeping up not with the fads, but with the trends, the things that are actually making impact. And you're tweaking as you go along, because the one thing I will say to you is that your strategy is never static. Your strategy is fluid, and it changes based on what's happening, because the world of digital, the online world, changes rapidly. Okay, so now that we understand that, let's quickly move on, because we're running out of time, to tools. Keron, you brought up several tools, and people are like, what is that? Which one is that? So, Keron, I'm going to start with you. Your top 5 tools that you think brands, creators, businesses should be incorporating into their system and their processes for 2023 to make sure that they're remaining consistent and they're providing value.
All right. So I will say this to people. If you know how people as an icebreaker ask, if you were going to be a superhero, what superhero would you be? I would be Batman, because you see my tool belt? With tool belt trunk. All right. So for tools, right? One of the tools that I use is a tool called Descript. Now, Descript is sorcery. It is a tool that you could be using to edit video and also edit audio and transcribe.
And
so
blogs.
What I would do, yeah, and blogs, right? So what I would do is I would record my podcasts, dump it into Descript. Descript is going to automatically transcribe the entire audio clip, and I could then turn that into blog content or rip out pieces and turn it into audiograms, visual representations of the words with captions. Or I could turn it into carousels. I could literally copy and paste out pieces of it and turn it into carousels, right? What I love about Descript is that it edits video and audio like a Word document. So it's going to show you all the words. And if you delete a paragraph or delete words, it stitches everything together to create a seamless audio experience. Like you never, like that's exactly what you said after you've edited it. So Descript is one of my go-to tools, right? I'm still shocked when I don't see people using Canva, right? Canva is elite. Canva is only adding features that you never thought could be possible and adding it. So if you're somebody not using Canva, Canva is one of those tools I'll tell you pay for, because the features that Canva is adding, in a world where we always need graphics, we need videos, you could damn near do everything inside of Canva, right? Next up, for market research, one of the cheapest tools that SEO specialists will use is a tool called Uber Suggest. UberSuggest. Uber Suggest. And it is a tool that I would say, if you can pay for it, because it's $12 a month, or you can do a one-time lifetime access fee of 120 US. And that's a tool where you could do market research. You can actually you could copy and paste someone's URL into the tool, and it's going to analyze every single thing about the person's website.
Repeat the name.
Uber Suggest.
Uber, that's the first one. So guys, that first clip that Keron showed us when he was typing in cupcakes, that was Uber Suggest.
Uber suggests a great tool so that you can see search volume. You can see the age demographics of people conducting that search. You can see all of the questions that people are asking and all the queries that people are typing into Google. And you can see the volume of those queries so that way you have real data that you could turn into content, a product, or a service based on data. So Uber suggests. So that's 3 tools. Another tool that I use, let me see what we can give you. What else do I use? If you're somebody who is looking at getting into creating courses and selling and packaging your knowledge, a tool that I use to create all of my digital courses is a tool called Thinkific, right? Thinkific, Thinkific, or you could use Teachable, right? Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, check them out. But I use Thinkific. Thinkific is the platform that powers all of my digital courses, right? So you can create, it makes it super, super easy to create courses. It hosts all of your content, your videos, your downloadables, your PDFs, your audio content, written content. Thinkific will host all of that content and help you turn it into courses, which you can then sell to people across the entire world. And if it's one of the best revenue sources for your business to do is to be able to sell digital content or digital courses. There's no geographic boundaries. You don't have to physically ship anybody anything. So let's just say if you're a candle maker and your main goal is to create candles and ship out candles, why not have a candle making class that you can sell, right? People are looking for experiences right now. So let's just say if you do a wine and candle night and people pay for a package where you can either send out a package or give people a list to go and pick up their own ingredients, and then they can come into your online school where they can enjoy this curated, paid wine and candle night. You can teach, and again, you're going to be able to get customers from around the world. So I use Thinkific to do all of my digital course.
And that's SIP and X is very popular these days. So that X is whatever that X is for you. So SIP and candle making, SIP and planning, SIP and whatever, that's a very popular thing these days. I've noticed a lot of creators going into that space because people tend to like that kind of thing because they're making something, they're doing something, is an activity that they can do while they're with other people, engaging with other people, and it's just a fun experiential based type learning that people are very into these days.
And if you want to do it and get paid, because some people might be thinking, well, why don't we just do that on Facebook, Instagram live, or on a YouTube live? If you want to do that and get paid, if you're using a Teachable or Thinkific, you can do that behind the pay gate. And again, it's going to be your own branded platform where you can sell your digital content or your courses. Last but not least, I'll give you a tool for the podcasters. If you want a tool to easily create audiograms, right? You can use a tool called Headliner. Headliner will actually connect directly to your podcast. It easily imports the entire podcast, and then you can cut whatever piece of the podcast you want and easily create a graphic, and it'll turn that audio clip into a visual representation, and then you can go ahead and add in your captions. So Headliner is one of the easiest ways to create audiograms. Those are audio snippets of the podcast, which can aid you in driving traffic back to your website. Watch it there.
You muted, Katia.
Sorry, this is Headliner, and I also use Headliner too. It's also a great tool because, guys, one of the things, and we're gonna have, I may need to invite you guys back because I want to have a show completely dedicated to just content creation. Because one of the things I want you guys to understand is that you need to be creating audience content for diverse audiences too. What people tend to not focus on when they're looking at their audience is audience that are visually impaired, as well as audiences who are auditory impaired. And so when you're creating content content, especially content for YouTube or whatever, you always want to make sure you have that subtitles. But YouTube clearly don't understand our accent, okay? Because some of the shit I see them pop up, and Facebook is even worse. So what I would say to you is, if you run your video, your audio through Headliner as well, it will also create a subtitles for your video, and I think those are extremely useful. Create subtitles for your video. So Headliner also does that as well, and you can see I use it a lot for most of the content that I create. I run it through Headliner, get the subtitles on. I can design the subtitles anywhere I want to design them, put them anywhere on the video that I want to put it. So it's not just for audio, it's also for video content. As you said, you can do manual, automatic, you can capture the video, and then there's an advanced editor. You can also create templates, etc. So this is an awesome tool. So if you create a template, say you're a YouTuber, you can actually create a template in Headliner, so all your videos have that same template. Same for your audiograms, etc. It's a very useful tool. So thanks for bringing that up, Keron. Okay, your turn, Racheal.
All right, so right now I was writing as you guys were talking. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of giving you my top 5, I'm just gonna add, because I think Keron has kind of covered most of the bases. So what I'm going to do is, let's look at our social media managers and our community managers. What you really need is, you need a CRM. Right. I have a powerhouse of a tool. I think they're a French company, Agora Pulse. And what they do for me is, or what that platform does is, it's like an all-in-one. So it allows me to manage and produce my content. It allows me to schedule out for months in advance, because we know consistency is key, right? So after you've produced all of that content, you plug it in and it will auto release on all of your platforms, so that you're not thinking about that. When we're talking about or CRM aspect, it does allow us to kind of tag or social fans. Maybe you have your top follower, maybe you have somebody who complains, and this is from like our corporate people. If you had somebody that you potentially had an issue with before, you can tag them, you can follow up and that sort of thing. So it's beautiful for that. Great for managing your inboxes across platforms as well. So it's a beautiful, beautiful tool, all in one. What I love the most about it is, remember how we started off talking about looking at our stats and our data. Reporting there is great as well. You can set up your Power Reports where you can automate when it is that you get the kind of reports that you want, of course, with the things that are important to you. So it's not the sexy stuff with the creation, but what it does is, it ensures that you are hitting all of your marks every single month when it comes to releasing your content. You're able to dig deeper into your audience stats, and then of course do your reporting. Outside of that, let's talk a little bit about supporting sources of data. We talked about or Amplify. Amplify is used to be called Social Bakers. I think if you've been in social in the past 10 years, Social Bakers was a great platform that used to serve as a CRM, but they've kind of drilled down into analytics. So they have a really fun tool that I like, that if it is that I'm trying to watch a competitor to see what's going on, I can actually pull their different URLs, drop that in, and it will pull all of the public information for me, so that instead of me having to scrape different bits of information about what a direct competitor is doing, I can use that and gather information on them, because we always want to know what's happening in the market. And last but certainly not least, we have our HubSpot. And HubSpot, again, is a great tool for collecting data on our customers. We can collect it from different points outside of social and within social. And just learn more about how our customers are behaving, what they're responding to, and where we're getting, where we're pulling them towards where it is that we want them to be. So those are my 3 additions to Keron's list. I've definitely made note of some of the stuff that I've outlined, right? Because I mean, the whole audio podcasting thing is will continue to grow. So I've made notes on my end as well. So thanks for sharing, guys.
All right. So, guys, for me, it's everything Keron said, because I also use Descript. The only thing I would say with Descript is that the learning curve is a bit steep. It's the learning curve is a bit steep to use Descript. Go and watch the YouTube videos; they're very helpful because the biggest issue I had with Descript is that it's not as intuitive as it could be, but it is as Keron said, it's sorcery. It's sorcery. The things that this thing can do. Oh my God. It can remove the ums and the ahs and the stuff from your video. Because when you're talking about audio content, there's some certain things that you have to focus on when you're talking about audio content to making sure that the content is listenable. So removing the ahs and the ums and the long pauses, and it does all of that like miraculously. So I absolutely love it, but it's not as intuitive and there is a steep learning curve. But I also use it. So everything Keron said, because Canva, I am Canva's number one fan. Y'all can't tell me nothing, okay? Canva is in every single thing I do. I think Canva is the tool of the century, all right? For small brands and creators, they are winning. Another tool that I discovered was Quillbot. Quillbot, when I'm writing emails, when I'm writing captions, when I'm writing blog posts, and I want a certain voice, I want to say it in a particular way, but I also want it to be grammatically correct. Forget Grammarly. Quillbot is where it's at because I can tweak it to my own way of talking, my own voice, brand voice, and then it will spit something back out to me. This is why I love AI. This is an AI tool. It will spit something back out to me that sounds very much similar to something I would say. Another tool I would say is Copy AI. Copy AI does something similar to what Quillbot does. Copy AI is if you're writing social media captions, etc., captions for your YouTube videos and all that. Copy AI is a good place to start with that. You literally just drop, you give it prompts what you want to talk about, and it will create a copy for you. No, you're not gonna just cut and paste a copy, but it's a good place to start in terms of creating a base. If you write, like Keron will understand, Racheal, because they have blogs. If you write for a blog, sometimes you have the idea in your head and sometimes it's difficult to get out on paper. You go to Copy AI, you kind of put the premise in there, and you get a foundational document that you can then tweak, and then you can do your blog post from that. I like highly visual content, and so I am looking at different tools where I can get graphics from. So video footage or video clips, image clips and stuff. Everybody know Pexels, everybody know Unsplash, but there's another one called Mixit that I like to use. It's free assets, but it's mostly for your video based project. You get stock video clips, you get stock music, you get sound effects, and you get video templates. It's mostly free, but a lot of these tools are freemium, where there's some aspects of it that are free. Now, if you're planning on running ads this year, one of the tools that I would recommend is Facebook Ad Library, and it is absolutely free. Facebook Ad Library, you can literally go on and see who's running what type of ads across industries, how they lay out the ads, the images that they're using, the text that they're using, the audience that they're targeting. All of that is available for free in the Facebook Ads Library. So you guys should make use of that. One particular thing, and this is very niche now. So say for instance, I do this live show on YouTube every Saturday morning, and I want to send people from my social media platform to say, hey guys, I'm doing a live, jump over to my YouTube. Sometimes what that social media platform, especially Instagram, is guilty of this. When you click on that link, it doesn't take you to the app, it takes you to the browser-based version of it. So when I put my YouTube link in that, that link thing that you can now put in your stories, instead of opening the YouTube app, it opens the browser. That's problematic for a lot of people because then you have to go sign in if you want to like the video or leave a comment. There's a tool called LinkedIn, LNKTWIN. And what LinkedIn does is you put in your YouTube link in LinkedIn, it generates a link, and you put in that link. Now, when they click on that link from your socials, it takes them directly to the app. It opens the YouTube app directly. And I think that's a really great way of converting, getting people to that space without the additional problems of them having to find a way to try to get to the app to get to the video. Just drop that in there and they can open the app directly. And the last tool for me, guys, I have like a literally for creating videos. Like for instance, if you're creating explainer videos, and survey says, guys, research says that one of the top type of videos that you can creating are how-to videos, explainer videos. So if you want to create high quality explainer videos, Descript is also good. But what is also great and far more intuitive as far as I'm concerned is Loom, Loom. You go into Loom. Loom is where you can have that picture in picture thing. So you have the little bubble with your face in it down in the corner, and you can show them, it captures your screen and you can show them what you're doing when you're, while you're doing it. And so if you're creating explainer type videos, Loom is really an effective way of doing that. One last thing, I said one last before. Email. Since we tell you guys that you should be focusing on building your email list, what is really going to be the clincher for you is your email header. That subject line in the email, that is what is going to make people click on your email. So there's a tool called Omnisend, and it will help you to test your email subject lines. So whatever the email is, you drop that subject line in it and it will test it against other email subject lines similar to tell you how strong an email line and what the likelihood that this email is going to people are going to actually click on it and open it, right? So it's called Omnisend, and it's the email subject line tester. And I think that has been a good tool for me since I recently just rehashed my whole email strategy and sending out emails regularly to people now. So I think that's a great tool that we can use. And that's it for me, guys, in terms of tools. There's so much more tools that we can talk about, because if one thing digital is not short of, it's tools that you can actually use. It's just that some of the best tools are subscription based, but you also have really good tools that are not. It's just for you to find the tools that will work best for you, and don't be afraid to experiment with different types of tools, so you can get done what you want to get done. So we're going to end with our final word, and we're going to start with Racheal. Racheal, what's your final word on the strategy for 2023? What are some of the things that you think people should be doing? Your final piece of advice to close out.
I think my final piece of advice would be make sure that your foundation is sound, right? All of the niceties, all of the additional information, everything that comes after the fact, digital only amplifies what you put out there, what you have. So that 10x, if your foundation isn't sure, then that's going to be 10x of a poor experience for your customer. So make sure your foundation is sure. Make sure you're focused on the value that you're trying to provide to your community, and stay true to you. I think that's a formula for a winning social media.
All right, Racheal, where can people find you online?
Okay. You can follow us on Start Social. That's Start Social CBN on Instagram. Facebook, we maintain it, but the content will go there as well if you want to. And we, of course, have a YouTube page where we're going to be interviewing a lot of Caribbean entrepreneurs this year. So if you love a good story, that's somewhere that you can find us. Start Social Caribbean CBN on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at Ray, that's RAE, Callaghan. I'm sure you can see the Callaghan on the screen. That's CALLAGHAN 7 on Twitter.
All right. Keron, your final piece of advice and where people can find you online.
Final piece of advice is, this is the year to be willing to be open to learning, because things are changing. There's There's a lot of strategies that you're going to be seeing online. You have to be willing to learn. And even if you don't want to become an expert in digital, again, as a business owner, you don't need to be an expert, but you need to be able or be open to learning enough so that when you are working with people that you are outsourcing the work to, you're not getting scammed and you know
Ooh,
exactly
I
what
know.
expect, right? A lot of people are struggling in digital, not because they're not putting out the money, but you're working with people who cannot get you a result, right? And they can only pull the wool over your eyes because you yourself don't know what you're looking for. So be open to learning. A lot of things are changing. And as long as you're open to taking some of even if it's the free courses from a HubSpot Academy, from a SEMrush Academy, take some of the free courses. Google Digital Garage is another excellent resource. Think with Google, another excellent resource where you can take a lot of the free courses on digital strategy, marketing, e-commerce, so that you at least know what is happening. And if you are a business owner, small business owner, spend some time doing some of the courses. So that's going to be my piece of advice. And as for where you can find me, it's going to be Keron Rose, KeronRosc, everywhere. So if you Google it, you're gonna see it. KeronRose.com, Keron Rose across every single social media platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok are my most active platforms. You can check out the Digipreneur FM podcast across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. If you're in Jamaica, every single Wednesday, the Digipreneur column is in the Jamaica Observer every single Wednesday. So you can either pick up the paper and see my face, or you could go onto their online platform. And then every single Thursday, we have the Digipreneur column in the TT Newsday. So again, we're in print. We are also in the we're also on their website with the content. And then every single Friday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. So that would be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Jamaica. I have the Digital World Radio Show where you can either watch the live stream, right? You can either watch the live stream or you can listen in on 106.5 FM. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right. So Keron said dash out. Keron is everywhere.
Everywhere.
Dash out. Okay, guys. So my final piece of advice is similar to what Keron said. Invest some time into learning and building your capacity. Capacity building is extremely important. So whether it's a course or a boot camp, whatever, invest some time in learning. My other piece of advice is to join some of these community spaces, and this is where I'm going to shamelessly plug mine, the Digital Learning Hub, which is a Telegram group where we talk about these things on a daily basis. The last thing we were talking about was the same outrage marketing. But make sure that when you're joining these groups, you're not joining these groups to take information, but you're joining these groups to engage and share as well. Because ain't nobody wants you in there and you're a ghost. You're just behind the scenes, just sucking up all the information and sharing. So when you get into these spaces, be willing and open to share as well. So it becomes a more fun learning environment for everyone. So invest in your learning and your capacity building. Join these communities, whether it's a Facebook group, a Telegram group, a Discord. There's a lot of valuable information that are exchanged in these spaces, and they're experience based. So people are only in there talking about what they know. Okay, so invest in that as well. And yeah, y'all know where to find me. I'm everywhere, right? Instagram. I'm not really on Twitter much these days because Twitter's a mess. So really go to the blog, the website, thedigitalJamaica.com. Listen to the podcast and join the Digital Learning Hub. The link will be across all our social media. If you go to the link in our bio across social media, you'll see where you can sign up to join the Digital Learning Hub, because that's where I'm going to be concentrating all my efforts this year in terms of content and creating substantive and valuable content. So thank you so much, Racheal. Thank you so much, Keron. You guys have been amazing. As usual, you guys are always amazing. Keron, digital superstar. Racheal with Start Social. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I think this was this was a great way to kickstart 2023. I'm inviting you guys back to have a conversation about content, because I think we are doing content wrong in the Caribbean, and I know Keron agrees with me. So we want to have a conversation about how to do content right. So look out for that next week on the show. We are going to be talking about AI and how AI is actually impacting the community and the bigger impact that it will have on our Caribbean community, because a lot of the things that happens in tech, guys, we a lot of things that happen globally, we tend to feel it more because we're a smaller community and because we have less say in what happens in these spaces because we're not creating in these spaces, so we have less say, so the impact tends to be more magnified for us. So we're going to talk about how artists in Jamaica who really have not yet been able to tap into international markets, how I think they're going to suffer even more from this whole AI thing and how that impact is going to be greater on us. We're going to be talking about that next week. So guys, tune in for that. And thank you so much for watching the Digital Jamaica live show this week. Thank you, Racheal. Thank you, Keron. And I hope to see you guys next week. Until then, let's continue the conversation over on our socials. You know where to reach Keron. You know where to reach Racheal. You know where to reach me. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.